My mum, being an artist, would attend a lot of craft fairs when I was younger. She would go to like the small village fetes, the school shows, like Christmas shows, and then like the bigger fairs as well. And they're a really good place to start selling your products and listening to what other people are saying and build confidence in what you're making. If you started sewing and say you wanted to start selling what you're making, make some money back from them, and say if you're gone down the online route but you also want to be more in person, talk to people directly, then a good place to start selling your products is craft fairs. So I thought, seeing as I have done some of this before, and if you were looking at starting selling at craft fairs, or you'd like some ideas on what to sell, then I can take you through some key points, some experiences that I've learnt from that hopefully you can take forward as well. So we'll start with some key points. First thing I would do if you're looking for craft fairs is to start small and find local. If you're a little underconfident with yourself or with what you're selling and you want some feedback and want to learn, start with the small craft fairs. Stay away from the big shows, and this is very important because big shows can be so overwhelming, and they can be long days. They can be very tiring. If you have to stay over, then it can make you really underconfident, and there could also be a lot of competition. So I'd stay away from the big shows and instead go to little small fetes, village craft fairs, school bazaars, things like that. School bazaars or school craft fairs are quite a good one to go to because parents and friends and family will want to support the school that their child goes to, so these things are usually really well attended and they can be cheap as chips to actually hire a table. So sticking with the small craft fairs to begin with, it's the better way to go if you're just starting out. So you have your little craft fair, you're ready to start, and you need to set up your store. Things you need to set up your store, obviously a table and chairs. So you'll have to check with the craft fair that you're going to whether they provide the tables. Might be an extra cost, but usually they're only like £5, or if you have your own table, then again, just take your own table. And you'll need a chair because you'll definitely want to sit down. Some of these craft fairs can be as little as 10 till 3. Some of them can be like 8 till 8. They can be really long days. So you'll definitely want somewhere to sit down. If you're unsure about how to set up your store, then doing a dry run is a very good idea. A few days before, get your table set up, get your tablecloth on, all your display items out, put everything there as a dry run for your store. Take a picture so that you can remember how to lay it out. Then when you actually get to the craft fair, it should be really easy to just set up and you won't be fiddling around too much because you'll have your picture there that shows you how you were happy with your store, and so it'll take the pressure off you really. Tablecloths, come on, we are sewists, we can sew, so we can make our own tablecloths, but also it is very, very easy to get one online. Just get a cheap tablecloth, one colour. Don't make it too fancy because you want your table to show the products that you're making. You don't want it to be distracted by tablecloths. Some of the worst examples I've seen is when people have used old duvets or bedspreads from like years ago, and I mean like 70s, 80s, where it's all those weird crazy patterns, and you just can't see what they're making because the tablecloth is just so in your face that that's what you focus on. So just pick one colour that's on brand with what you do and make sure that the products are showcased instead. How will you display your products? So do you need stands? Do you need something to hang key rings on? Or if you're making scrunchies, like a bracelet holder is good for scrunchies. These things, they may cost something if you've got someone who's very handy, or if you're very handy with making, displays, then that's great because it'll cut down on costs. I don't recommend making them too bulky because remember, you will need to take these home, you'll need to take them to the craft fair and you need to take them home. Anything that can be flat packed is just brilliant. So if you're making jewellery or if you're doing like key rings, then something like an old photo frame or an old frame with some fabric inside that you can hang things on, pins to put in and put the key rings on, that's always a good idea because you can use them for different things as well. They're not just display things for one item. And also things like wooden boxes, so you have crates, they very aesthetically pleasing, but of course they're also good for transporting things as well, so you can put things in them when you're taking them home, but they also look good on the table. If you're selling garments, then a collapsible clothing rail brilliant idea. You know, you can just hang your garments on there. The only thing you might need to be aware of is the space that you have bought. So if you bought a 6-foot space and you have a 6-foot table, you might need to buy a little extra space so that you can put that clothing rail up. Marketing and business literature. So first things first, it's a two-way street. You need to market the craft fair that you're going to on your social media pages and amongst your friends and family, and in turn they will market you. Everyone benefits from a social media post, or you know, a little bit more social media exposure. So if you can market, you know, say, oh, I'm going to this craft fair, come and come and see what I'm selling, or so and so's coming there as well, then it's going to help you and it's going to help them as well. And of course it's the craft fair's responsibility as well to showcase what you are selling, or to say, you know, what to say this is when it's happening basically. Leaflets and business cards. You need something with your contact details on. What's to say a multi-millionaire won't walk into that small tiny craft fair and want to buy like your products in you know, a wholesale order, and you've got nothing to give them in return so that they can get in contact with you? And writing it down on a little bit of paper doesn't look very professional. So business cards and leaflets are really quite cheap. You can get a very simple design, just make sure it's got your name, your business name and your contact details on there, and it just looks so much better, you know, just handing out a business card with every product you sell, or anyone that's interested in what you do. So don't be a stooge, share the life out of the events that you're going to on your social media pages. It benefits everyone because the more coverage it gets, the more people that are most likely going to turn up, so the more sales that you and the other people around you can make. Insurance. This is something that you need to research and get before you actually book any craft fairs, and insurance is very, very important because you want to make sure you're covered if, say, if there is a theft, or if someone drops their product on their toe and they break their toe for whatever reason. You want to make sure that you are covered for these types of events in case they happen. Any business venture you need to make sure that you've got insurance for, and craft fairs might actually ask you for documentation, so a certificate to say that you are actually insured. The main one to get is public liability, and really this can be as cheap as, you know, depending on what you're doing, it can be as cheap as like £10 a month. So it's something that you need to research. Personally, I use Policy Bee. They're very easy to talk to, customer service is great. And you can just, you know, type in what you sell, what you need, the business name, and yeah, and just get some insurance and make sure that you're covered. And also it gives you the motivation to do a few more craft fairs so that you can, you know, that you're making the use of the cost really. I'll pop a link to Policy Bee below. I could go on for years about pricing and how to price your products, but that would make this video really quite long and we don't have the time for that really, so I'll try and keep it very, very short. Pricing is difficult, and it's something that I hear all the time is, oh, I don't know whether I'm charging too much, or I don't know if I'm charging too little. How do I get my pricing right? So here's a list of some costs that are involved in a craft fair. So first of all, you have the cost of the stall. Again, it can be really cheap, like £5 or £10. If you do the big craft fairs, they can go into hundreds, even thousands, depending on the fairs that you're going to. Insurance costs, so we mentioned that previously, the cost of insurance. If you need to travel, that's something you need to factor in your travel costs. Food and drink, because you'll need lunch and you need something to drink. And then extras, of course, will be like lighting if you need lighting, packaging if you want to factor that in. So we'll try and keep it simple with like the store costs and insurance, so we won't factor in packaging because that might be something that you actually have already. Same with the business cards and the leaflets, you might actually have that, so you know, you can factor it in, but yeah. As an example, we'll take a store cost of £20, we'll take insurance as £10 for the month, we'll take travel as £20, and lunch is say £5. So your basic outward costs for this particular craft fair would be £55. So before you even think about making profit, you need to make sure that you get this money back, and I call this the table money. So when I did craft fairs before, if I made the table money back, for me it was worth going, because I've marketed my stuff and I also made some sales, but it also hadn't cost me anything really to actually go there because I've made that money back. Having a range of products in different price ranges is obviously a good idea. You can have products that are really cheap, and then you can have products that are a little bit more expensive, so that you cover different markets and you cover different budgets. Doing research will help you find the price and level that you're happy with. So definitely look at what other people are selling their products for. Go and chat to them as well. I mean, you don't have to say, I'm going to sell my product exactly the same as what you're selling it for, but you can talk to them, see how they started out, you know, see how they reached that pricing cost as well. If one thing I was told, and what my mother was told, was that you start, when you find a price, you stick to it, and then you only ever go up. You don't bring those prices back down, because you're undervaluing your work and yourself. So once you're happy with the prices that you have, don't ever go below that. Just keep going up. There's a lot more that goes into pricing, and this is quite a random overlook of pricing your products. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you do at least make that table money back, and that you're putting value into what you make and the passion that you have for creating these products. Oh, and always make sure that your prices are very clearly seen. Travel. So how are you going to get there? If you have a car or a van, that's brilliant. Or if you need to ask a friend to help out, then that's great as well. If you're going via public transport, you need to think about how much you're actually taking and how much you can actually get on a bus or a train. If you sell small stuff, then you know you can quite easily probably pack that into a couple of bag for life things. But yeah, you need to think about travel and whether it's worth going to these craft fairs that may be a little bit more out of the way. Taking payments. So card readers and cash, how are you actually going to take the payments? Card readers nowadays for small businesses are brilliant. They can be as small as that, and they can work with your smartphone. If you have a smartphone, only things to be aware of is the signal. You will need signal, so make sure that where you're going has good signal. Or they can be, you know, bigger sort of terminal card readers. They can give email receipts or text receipts, and you know, they're really small and compact to carry. So I definitely recommend looking at card readers for taking payments. It's how people will mostly pay nowadays, you know, touch and go, that's it. You'll also need a petty cash tin as well, because I can guarantee someone will want to pay with cash. So make sure that you have a £20 float or something in change and notes, so that if anyone does want to buy your £19.95 product with a £20 note, you have 5p to give them back. You can do written receipts, you know, get yourself a little invoice duplicate book, and yeah, just use that for receipts if anyone asks. Packaging. If you haven't already, if you're, you know, maybe if you're selling online, you've probably got packaging, but you'll need some form of packaging to put your products in and give to the clients. I use paper bags, so I buy some paper bags offline, and that's what I use to put in the products. It's not plastic. And you can personalise this packaging as well. So when I had my shop, I used to screen print on our logo onto the front of the bag. So then it was very easy, it was very cheap, it was a lot cheaper than actually getting them printed. And then I could just duplicate that all the time. And that was a really handy way to actually get a branded bag. And lastly, what is probably the most important is to just have fun and talk to people. It's the best way to learn. The reason that you're doing this is not just to make money, it's just because you love to make and create. And this will come across to your customers, to the public, and that's really the way that you can increase your confidence. You know, once you get talking to people, you'll get more natural, and you can, you know, talk to them and explain what you do and why you started it. People love a story, people love a backstory, they love the reasons why you're actually creating. So make sure, you know, build your confidence up by expressing this to the people that you're talking to. And it's not just to the public as well, to your customers, but to other store holders as well. You know, there will be seasoned craft people there that have done this for years. There will be newbies like yourself that you're in the same boat. So building friends this way, you know, keeping in contact with each other, and you'll probably find that if you're going to do these on a regular basis, you will meet them again in the future in different craft fairs. So it's a great way to build confidence and to learn from each other. So if you're actually struggling for ideas on what to sell, then I'm going to be doing some videos in the future with my own patterns that you can download for free. and make and sell, and they'll be easy patterns to make, so they're ones that you can repeat again and again and again, make a nice batch of products up and then take them to a craft fair. So they will come up in later videos, so keep tuned. You can subscribe to my channel for more videos, and please give this video a thumbs up. So thanks so much for watching. I hope I've given you some inspiration, and I'll see you next time.